So our understanding of what was going on was mainly, we were too young to read the New York Times at 14, so we never really understood until the war movies started coming out, Apocalypse Now or whatever, and then the fears became real, and by that time it was over, but you understood how it personally affected people you knew. And there were a lot. There were a lot of people who were, family members who either didn't make it home or made it home in worse shape than they went in. And that's my recollection of the mid to late 60s. Richie's family was very tight-knit, and I just remember his father, Richie's father, always inviting my family, my older brother and me, to their boat that they kept on Sherman Creek. And we used to go down to the boat and crabbed and fished, and I had never fished in my life. And I remember being on the boat with Kevin and Richie showing me how to cast into the East River, catching whatever was in there, which was always a good memory because I'd never fished before in my life. And I remember one time Richie cast and he caught a seagull on his bait. You remember that? That I remember vividly. And Mr. Reynolds had to cut the line because all of the kids were freaking out. And he would take us out on the boat, and I think that was the furthest I had ever been from my home when I was out on that boat. I think we went to City Island, probably, yeah. And it was good times. That was all a time of innocence. Nobody had that fear of what could happen in a life and death situation, which I feel bad that some people had to go through that, and I never had to. Hey, is it 50 years?
50 years. Oh, it's since Richie died, yeah.
Yeah, it's 50.
Yeah, 50 years ago this past January.
50 years ago this past January.
And so forth.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So what have we learned in the 50 years?
Nothing.
We learned that today we bombed, last night we bombed Syria. And maybe in 50 years we'll be saying why.
Was last night's action just an issue of who has a bigger dick?
In 50 years we may be asking the same question. It may be as meaningless with the human suffering and cost to the civilian population and the army population.
If we have women running the world,
maybe not.
They're not born with that instinct to.
I hope that's true. There are some women I've met who may have that interest.
So again,
one of them being Laura Ingraham, and the other one being the NRA woman.
Oh, she was awful.
Oh my gosh, what a monster.
Oh.
Laura Ingraham, and Coulter has finally she's finally come around to calling Trump an idiot. My name is Pasquale Penge, or Pat, as they called me, or Patsy they called me when I was younger. And I immigrated from central Italy, a small town called Asperia, near Monte Cassino, which was the site of one of the biggest battles of World War II, and my family had to leave because there was total devastation from the German and American bombing combined. And we left Italy and boarded the Andrea Doria and landed in a small neighborhood called Inwood in Upper Manhattan that was mainly populated by second-generation Irish families. And we were greeted by the local Bowery boys on the block, who were Richie Reynolds and his younger brothers, Kevin and Brian, and other relatives and friends, and it became a gang of sorts. And it was mainly revolved around playing city sports that we invented, and going on rooftops and throwing water balloons off and all the other things you see in movies from that kind of an upbringing. Not suburban at all. Just very city. Sit on the stoop and play curveball all day, hours. And Richie was probably the best athlete on the block. Big kid, great basketball player. And he was good friends with my older brothers, and I was good friends with his younger brother. And it was a tight-knit group of young kids just having fun in a time of innocence. And the innocence kind of was gone by the time people started getting drafted and volunteering to fight in this war that nobody understood, but maybe some people did understand it, but I certainly didn't. And, well, I was too young, but as time went on, the innocence turned to a nightmare, because you started hearing about casualties. And that's when things, I think, started changing and getting darker. And I remember hearing when Richie was killed in action, it was like it was unreal. He was probably the first one we actually knew that had fallen like that. And then it really hit home when somebody right around the corner also was killed in action. And as the years went on, you just heard it over and over again. And it affected us, because then by that time we were getting into our late teens, and the fear of the draft was real, with still no real understanding of what the war was about.
You think you've left anything out? Any other points you want to make? Oh, I meant to say.
I could rant, man. I could rant.
I told you
I know.
at the very beginning, and you said you had nothing to say. And
I could rant against
in front of the camera and
fucking McNamara and Kissinger and Nixon, and and as I became more educated, I did go to one anti-war rally in Washington, D.C. I must have been 18 years old with a draft card. And it was eye-opening that you could actually have a voice.
I vented in reality.
Yeah.
My plan was to piss on McNamara's grave. He's down in Arlington. I know exactly where
with the heroes.
I planned it out.
With the heroes. With the heroes.
I planned it all out.
And Westmoreland.
Yeah.
You want to hear a funny thing?
Now, hold on. I planned out LBJ's grave, and as a result of my plans, I realized they have to have cameras on that 24 hours.
Oh, yeah. They'd come and get you.
Bingo. I mean,
you could have made a great case, though.
Yeah, but I mean...
No. You don't want to go there.
I mean, pissing in public is a $50 fine.
Yeah, I know.
Pissing on the President of the United States' grave might be a year.
Yeah, I got you. And especially the times we live in now. We're living in strange times. We thought they were strange then, and they certainly were, but we're living in stranger times now. All of these young people that could be here today, just sacrificed the right of another country to determine what they wanted to do. I mean, it's legitimate, but it's sad.
Well, off camera, it's nice. It's nice to have this reflection.
Yeah.
And talk about the meaning of life. And how sacred it is. That's what you get out of here. Sean is having a hard time Sean's having a hard time sitting in front of my camera, and when I go in there,
he relaxes a little bit.
As much as my job is to sell and persuade, I won't.
Right.
Because
you don't want to direct me to what to say, of course.
His mom died when he was 12.
Yeah, I remember. I remember. He had a tough time.
All this stuff.
His dad, everything was left to his dad to do, and his dad was...
Dad is not a mom.
No.
Yeah.
His dad was very cool.
Yeah.
He would sit on that bench, be encouraging, always said good morning to me.
Oh, yeah.
He was like, I would like walk down the block, always happy to see Mr. Body. He was a throwback to an old Irishman who always wore a black suit, smoked a cigarette, am I right?
Yeah.
And sat there and loved to converse.
Yeah.
Yep.
The inner family stuff is that he could be made out to be a black sheep and that he was a Protestant.
Yeah, well.
He wasn't a Catholic.
So, yeah, I know. Oh, that's a whole other story. That's a whole other thing. Oh, that's interesting. So who was the connection? Your mom and his mom?
My mom and his mom.
Your sisters?
Yep.
Okay.
And, I remember his mom, being at the kitchen sink or whatever.
Yeah.
And she would have a cigarette that dipped all the way down, almost to her.
Hey, sure. Yeah.
Just dipped down here, and the smoke would just come up into her nose and her eyes.
Do you remember me, you, and Damian roller skated from Vermilion? You put us up to it.
Oh, yeah.
We had those cheap roller skates that, everybody knows. Okay,
And
we roller skated.
Not in the...
Where did Sean live? He lived in Talentine.
No, are you kidding?
Way past it?
Yeah, we went all the way down to the Bronx Zoo and made a right.
Where was it?
Southern Boulevard.
Yeah, no, but
Boulevard.
Yeah, Tremont, that's right.
Yeah.
But that just came to me now. It's like I'm on drugs and you get that,
Yeah.
when you get the memory. Okay, we roller skated all day, but I think we took the bus back.
Yeah, but going down Fordham Hill, it was cobblestone.
Barbara, you got to hear this.
Do you remember the Fordham Road being cobblestone?
Yeah.
Not easy on the skates.
Yeah, that's probably why my knee is fucked up now.
Hey, Sherlock.
I just remember that now, Kevin, as we were talking. But that was, that's good memories, fond times. I remember leaving Inwood on the number 12, or it was the 19 then.
Number 12. 19.
19. It was a 19 then. It's a 12 now. And we would go someplace in the Bronx where they had like a shrine, like a Lord's shrine. It was an Italian thing. You probably never went. And we would get there. It was probably on Eastchester Road, and there were private houses.
Yeah.
And there was a shrine like Lord's. And there were crutches. It was just like Lord's. This is like people's willingness, the power of persuasion, people's willingness to believe that you could go there and put water on your face and be cured. Wishful thinking, I hope. I mean, maybe it was real.
I remember you, and you might have been 8 years old, but you were a little guy.
Yeah. Oh, no, not me, yeah.
Yeah, and my father, we'd go out to City Island, and my father said, well, hold Patsy's hand.
Yeah.
And you pay the 15 cents
Oh, yeah.
for the bus.
So I would get on
the bus driver that he's under 5.
I think I did that.
Meanwhile, you're like 8 years old.
Meanwhile, I did that probably until I was 10. Carmine died.
No, I didn't know that. Oh, no, I did know that.
I think I texted you.
That's been a long time ago?
Last, not this Thanksgiving, the Thanksgiving before this.
No, then I didn't know.
Interesting guy.
Yeah.
My God, you remember him.
Yeah, he was picked on.
He was alone. Yeah, bullied.
Yeah.
He was, everyone. They made him dance, and they made him, because he was scrawny and didn't play sports. Carmine, though, was, how good he was to me, and God, unbelievable. He's single. He was single. His mom and dad died years ago. He developed kidney cancer, and his kidneys were going, and I wanted to offer him a kidney, and, didn't work. He says, don't worry about it. I'll be fine. Carmine he was a genius. Mathematical genius.
Yep.
He was like Rain Man.
Yep.
He could figure everything out, but you ask him, Carmine, how much is a car? He'd go, $8,000? He didn't know.
Yeah.
But
He was savant.
savant, yes, in a way, yeah. Not classic that, but he had all of these traits. Very shy. If you he played guitar, great. When me and him would sit there, and he would play. We tried to record it, me and my cousin. He was like, as soon as the recorder went on, because he had no confidence.
I made a statement that I was on Facebook with Charlie McBurdy.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, kind of. I ran into him on a tennis court one day. Yeah. I didn't know him, though.
I unfollowed him.
Yeah, he was a little...
Simply because he was a bully to all of us when we were...
Oh, okay.
And I...
There was another guy...
for that purpose. It was for the purpose to address bullyism. I'll cut Charlie out.
Oh, there was a few people I remember that would, like, pick on the little guys and the younger guys.
Because they were
jerks.
They're just so insecure in their own...
Carmine was picked on by his friends, like the guys who liked him, because he was the target.
Yeah, but
even Peter, but they liked him. Peter Murray, Barry Sweeney, they would like treat Carmine poorly, but Carmine would like buy them stuff, and he would, Carmine was tight with money, but he would treat his friends great.
Well, the dance is 50-50.
Yeah.
That Carmine, contributed 50 to his own.
Oh yeah. I agree with that. I always tried to get him out of his shell, and he just had that thing in him. He probably had some form of PTSD that wasn't war related. It was just life related, But anyway, he had kidney problems, and he knew he was dying. So this was 3-4 years ago. I'd go over there and he lived over on Pelham Parkway. And in my basement, I have 20,000 CDs that he made. I'll show you.
20,000 CDs that he made of himself?
No, CDs, music CDs. He was a music freak.
Yeah,
Of music.
Recordings that he...
Well, he made recordings, and he had like really deep, dark web recordings, concerts that no one's ever seen. Anyway, Kevin, Carmine was good to us, man. He had 5 guitars, like high-end guitars that he just treated himself to, and but he was he was a Academy Street guy too, because he lived around the corner on 4th Street. And he spent a big part of his childhood, probably not with you, but with me and Johnny and Damian.
Oh, yeah.
And the Aceto boys.
I remember him.
Slide. He lived
back in grammar school.
He lived on 2 or 4th Street.
1 year ahead of us.
He was 1 year older than Johnny.
Yeah. And he lived on
the ground floor.
Ground floor of the first building when you turn the corner.
Yeah, from Sam's Tavern.
Yeah, I remember.
And he used to love to go to the bar. He'd buy 1 beer and sit there with 1 beer all night and play the horses or football.
Yeah.
He was a bookie. He was Kevin. He was a bookie. He booked.
He reminded me of all this stuff now.
He booked. He kept book on all of this stuff. When we cleaned out his house, my God, some of the stuff we found, it was like horse sheets. He had every horse tracked for 10 years.
From the 60s.
Baseball scores. Every group that ever played, he had all of their singles. All of the top 40 singles. Dion and the Belmonts, everything. Mm-hmm. I have them all. I had to take them because Mario says, let's throw them out. And I didn't have the heart to throw everything out. LPs. Because as the 60s, he was a real music freak. And he liked good stuff. He liked, he liked good music. Because he was a loner. He was a loner.
The path of an introvert.
Yeah, he was a loner. And he wrote songs that were copyrighted. Oh my God! I got to show you this. They don't even put CD players in cars anymore. I tried to sell them. Nobody wants CDs. You want some CDs? I'll give you. Does your car have a CD player? Probably not.
No, DVD. My car's 17 years old.
But it has a CD player then.
No, DVD, I think.
Yeah, a DVD, but a CD music player. You can put discs in it, it'll play the music.
Yeah, but put DVD discs in there.
No, DVDs are
Are CDs?
DVD is a video. A CD is a music.
Oh, yeah, CD.
CD player.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're right. See that? You're with it, man. You know what they sell cars with now? New cars? Barbara has a new car. You just Bluetooth your music from your phone.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've been doing that forever. I have a Bose speaker,
and
loose in my car that I could take into my house. I meant to bring it to this girl's room today and
play her some music.
Because music is very soothing.
Sure. Oh man.
Except when the music is spying on you. That's
that Alexa. But Alexa is not only music. You can get, it's like when you Google something, you could ask Alexa, what year did, Nixon resign? And Alexa has the answer for you like this.
So does my phone.
No, but Alexa, you don't have to do it. You just ask her.
Well, all I got to do is ask my phone.
Oh, this is true. All right, you got Siri on your phone. You see,
What year did President Nixon resign?
75. No, 77. He stayed until 2 years after the war. He's another one that's got to be, we got to go do something to him.
August 9th, 1974.
Oh, 74. Oh, then then it was Ford.
That's my sober date.
Really?
August 9th
How long
of 85.
How long did you stay in the police force?
77.
How many years?
About 10.
About 10, right?
Civilian and policeman. Yeah.
Did you work in Inwood ever? I've never seen you in uniform in Inwood.
Maybe. Come on, I had girlfriends up in Riverdale.
So you used to sneak up with your uniform on?
Yeah, we worked midnights, 12 to 8 in the night, and you're going up there.
Did you ever work with Ray? No, you didn't work with Ray.
No.
Ray Unger, no. Because he spent a load of time in Inwood.
Oh no, he was in
He was at 3-4 for a long time.
And he's married to
Susie.
Yeah.
To Susie, yeah. See, Ray is more. Well, he's also very, very right-wing, pro-Trump.
Is he?
I can't think.
One of the youngers is very big on Facebook. Is that right?
Harry.
No, not Harry.
No, Ray's not on Facebook at all.
No, Harry Goldman, but there is
An Unger?
Unger, yeah.
Oh, that's his son, Michael.
I don't know.
Michael worked with. I set Michael up with Tommy McArdle when he got out of the Merchant Marine Academy. He went to the Merchant Marine, Michael.
Yeah.
When he got out, I said, talk to my friend. He's the pilot of the Staten Island ferry. So I gave him Tommy's number. Michael said, that guy took me out drinking every day. He said, we wouldn't work. We'd just go drinking. But Tommy got him a job on the ferry. Because Tommy was the safety officer.
Yeah.
Tommy was a wild guy.
That was a good cup of coffee. I'm going to go in and have another one.
Yeah, come on in. Oh, we weren't rolling for all my bullshit? No, Kevin, I'm only kidding.
No.
Listen, I have specific memories of, Inwood was like from until 73.
You can pull that out.
Okay. And I'm trying to keep in touch with him. I told Patty O'Brien. He moved down to Hilton Head.
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
Patty,
Nobody's sweeter than Patty. Obie was the one guy that treated Carmine like a human being.
Uh-huh.
And I sent Patty a letter at Christmas thanking him.
Yep.
And Ronnie McGuinn too.
Very, very bad, Kevin.
We were,
He's dangerous driving.
a few years back, 4 years back, we were 50 years
Yeah.
out of Good Shepherd School.
Oh, and you had a reunion?
Yeah, and we he was invited. He lives right nearby, but
No, he doesn't.
chose not to attend.
No, he came to Carmine's wake, and Carmine would do his taxes for like 20 years.
Uh-huh.
Him and Kathleen. And, but I know what you're talking about, because when I go down Inwood once in a while, and I say, Ron, come out to the park, we'll sit and have we'll have a cup of coffee, and he never wanted to leave his house. But I found out that his eyesight got very, very bad. Mm-hmm. Remember, he always had the glasses, but then he had the- really strong, and his driving is. Kathleen retired. His wife finally married her. They married only a couple of years ago.
Yeah, people are funny like that.
They never really fully married. But she's a sweetheart.
Oh, yeah.
Kathleen.